Welcome to season 7 of the Retail Tea Break podcast. My name is Melissa Moore, the retail advisor and Rethink Retail top retail expert for 2024. Each week, I'll be joined by industry experts, retailers and brands to dispel the myths, share knowledge, and give you an insight into the retail industry. Listen back to previous episodes on your favourite podcast platform or, of course, on YouTube. And while you're there, please do subscribe to the podcast so that you get to listen first every single week. So in the meantime, grab that cup of tea, sit back and listen in to season 7 of the Retail Tea Break podcast. Today, I'm joined by a guest who's been inspired by her passion for nature and a desire to inspire others to explore the incredible beauty of the Irish landscape. From the gorgeous corner of Dingle in County Kerry, today's guest co-founded an outdoor apparel brand made for the Irish outdoors. The brand offers a range of products from casual to technical wear, designed to make anyone, including the likes of me, regardless of the skill level, feel like part of the outdoor community. Rebecca Hoban, co-founder of Outwest, welcome to the Retail Tea Break podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have this conversation because, look, realistically, unlike a lot of retail brands, you didn't come to this from a retail background. So I'm really fascinated to kind of dig deep as to how it's all going and how you're finding it, because it's been incredibly successful. But look, before we start, in the age-old fashion of the Retail Tea Break podcast, in the time that it takes to boil a kettle, which I am told is about 2 minutes, tell us a bit more about you and the business.
Fabulous. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, first of all. And yeah, so me and Outwest, my name is Rebecca. I am the co-founder of Outwest. And basically, Outwest is, as you spoke about, an outdoor clothing brand inspired by and built for the Irish outdoors. It's all about getting people out in nature. We offer a range of casual to technical wear. And I suppose the kind of idea for Outwest was founded when myself and my now fiance Shane started hiking all around the Dingle Peninsula. We saw a gap in the market for a premium outdoor brand that was really built for the weather we have here. When you ask anybody outside Ireland, what's Ireland known for? It's the weather, yet we probably are the most unprepared people for the weather when it comes to adventuring. So we saw a gap in the market. We really wanted to take all the colour and the amazing adventure that can be found on the Dingle Peninsula, put it in technical and casual wear and send it all over the world for people to adventure.
You make that sound so easy and such a kind of dream and a smooth process. But I suppose before we jump ahead, like, you don't come from a traditional retail background. Actually, either does Shane. Tell us a little bit about your backgrounds, because I think that really starts to feed into this story.
Yeah, so my background is in marketing and event management, what I did in college. I really wanted a hands-on degree. I kind of went for that degree because it had the event management part of it. I am not a bookworm in any way, shape, or form. I'm actually severely dyslexic, so I knew I needed something practical. So went into kind of the marketing space, really, really loved. I found my kind of niche, which was really in storytelling. And I think that's what's fed into Out West now. Worked in like fast consumer moving goods, worked in energy drinks, protein bars within the fitness space, which is very funny because Shane comes from an ultra endurance background, and he ran a very successful gym here in Dingle for years, then took all of it online, ran basically online PT, helping people do crazy endurance events. And we never crossed paths before we met, which is really interesting because I worked within that kind of fitness, nutrition kind of space. And so we came from two very different backgrounds. He's been self-employed since he was 18. I've always worked in corporate. This is my first like self-employed job. So I think we kind of brought the best bits from both. He kind of brought that entrepreneurial real spirit, that get up and go like 7 days a week. I was coming from the Monday to Friday 9 to 5, and that doesn't work for retail. But I brought the kind of storytelling, the marketing, the kind of like back end almost to the business. And then we jumped headfirst into retail on the August bank holiday weekend.
As you do.
As
So
you
everyone
do,
that
of all
knows,
weekends.
probably the busiest, if not the second busiest weekend in the retail calendar, parking Christmas aside, and especially in Dingle. So again, those of you that don't know it, it's probably one of our biggest, most beautiful tourist destinations in the country. It does be heaving on the August bank holiday. So having had no retail experience, you magically created this brand of gorgeous and it is stunning apparel. And you decided to just go for it on the busiest weekend of the year.
Yeah, it kind of came about. We didn't intend on opening. So originally our brand was launched online. So we launched on the 28th of April, 2022 with a small range of collections. I think we had 2 long sleeves, 2 t-shirts, 2 sweatshirts, and 2 fleeces. That was it. It came in 2 colors and that was it. And then I'd been living in Dingle for a little bit. I'd moved from Tralee to be with Shane and I saw the footfall in Dingle. And it was something that I just wasn't like. I saw the main street in Tralee and in Dublin, but I was like, this is a different kettle of fish. So we looked for a pop-up spot and we were like, let's just like get our feet under, da da da. And it actually came from a tiny, it was the size of business card to let sign in the window of our current shop, which was owned originally or was let originally by a jewelry maker, a goldsmith. And she had had the business for 22 years and she was ready to retire at the end of the season. And we saw the little to let sign. Shane and I jumped at the opportunity. We talked to the landlord, we spoke to her. The landlord had kind of approved us to go in and we went back to her and we were telling her our plans and about the business and what we built. And originally her goal was to finish up and close up the shop at the end of September. And she looked at us and she said, I've been here for 22 years. You guys take it. Get a bit of August and September under your belt, get that revenue in, get that, like, just get the experience of retail because we had none instead of going into the quiet season. And forever, I will be thankful for what Neve did for us. We basically had 2 weeks to turn the shop around. To say we bootstrapped it was an understatement. She had a lovely pink wall and it took 4 coats of paint to cover the nice pink wall that had to dry in time and everything. So it was a friends and family job. Like we have to this day have never put any money into building, like getting someone in to build our retail space. We've done it naturally where we see we need more rails or more units or something like that. And it's always been either Shane's dad or Shane building it. Like Shane built our very first counter because we couldn't afford to buy this big fancy counter. So yeah, we kind of bootstrapped it straight into the August bank holiday weekend. And the lead up came with a load of challenges, but also after that came with a load of challenges that we didn't really think we would come across. Lack the retail experience.
There's no fear. That's what I really can't understand about this brand. You just push and then you push a bit more. But what was that like then? So you've opened, it's the bank holiday weekend, opening the doors. Because again, you haven't worked in retail before.
Yeah.
It isn't as easy as some think. And those within the industry listening to this are going to be laughing right now, I can tell. What was that initial reaction like? How did you find it?
It was draining. Oh, God. I remember the first few weeks, Shane and I were like, how do people who work in me do anything else? How do they come home and cook dinner? It was the social battery was the really thing that struck me. And like we were giving it our all. Like we were trying to show people this brand. We were like, we'd no staff. It was just Shane and I. For 2.5 months, we did 7 days a week, all ourselves, 10 to 6. And we just gave it our all. But we wanted to, we believed, and people, like, as you say, it's really scary, but we believed in this brand so much and we believed there was a space, and Dingle was the perfect space to launch this brand. We were on the most perfect street. It's, if anyone's been to Dingle, it's on Green Street. There's loads of amazing young entrepreneurs also on the street that would send people to us and we send people to them. It's a very lovely community to be in. But yeah, it was exhilarating, but also extremely tiring being that always on. And we also just learned on our feet. Like we had, like, we ran out of till roll because we hadn't ordered enough. It was all the small things of just adapting. I was only saying to one of our employees the other day, when the first person brought back a return to us, I was like, okay, and just winged it. Like not winged it, but like thought
You
on my
did.
thought on my feet and just went, okay, I presume you just put this number into Shopify and it'll come up here. And that's what we teach our staff as well. Like if they don't know the answer straight away, just use your own common sense to fix. That's what we had to do in our first few months of retail.
And that, in a nutshell, is, I think, to be honest, to me, what makes you stand out. We've talked a lot before this, and you're such a people-focused business. And I suppose because you don't know retail, you don't realize it's actually not like that out there. So the freedom and the energy that you give your team,
Mhm.
the connection you have with your customer or the shopper coming through the door, most retailers don't take the time to do that, whether they're an independent, whether a big global brand. The softness, but also I think the honesty that
Mhm.
you have with the people surrounding you is to really be commended because it is so unusual out there. So tell us a bit more about, I suppose, the people focus of the team, because again, that's started to grow now over the last few
Mhm.
years.
Yeah, so as I said, we started with a team of two. It was just Shane and I, and we grew our team then within our first year to three, and now we're a team of six, which is incredible. And I think from the very start, we really wanted to be people focused, both in the team, but also in the community, in the customers, and also in our supply chain. I remember creating the business and obviously thinking, and we might touch on it later, about sustainability and how we become like the brand to be the best it can possibly be. And at the time, we might not have been able to invest in the recycled polyesters, but we could make really, really good decisions about the people we hired and where the stuff was being made. Some stuff was out of our control in terms of fabrics, but the people were, of course, I think when Shane and I sat down to think about like what we wanted the brand to be, amazing staff. And I have to say, we landed on our feet amazingly with our staff and just giving over control to them, but understanding that everybody's human and everybody takes up stuff in their own way. And I think being dyslexic, I've learned that like you can't fit a square peg in a circle. Like people will naturally show you their skills, and then
Mm.
it's to take those skills and enhance it. Our very first employee started as a retail assistant and now does all our graphic and design work because I tasked her to do something and I was like, sorry, this is incredible. And now she does all the graphics on the back of our t-shirts and like trying to nurture that as well as being in retail, but allowing her time and space to just work on something she's really passionate for, I think is good. And it's something that I always say to our team, even in like interviews and stuff, like if you come into this business and you see something, because we're online and in store and stuff like that, if you see something that really interests you, say it to me and I will give you ownership of it if I can and upskill you. I think there's nothing more empowering to employees or to myself because I'm able to then delegate a role to someone else and see them flourish and grow in it. And I think like your staff are so important. Like they are the touch point in retail, which I think is so important. We say it to the team all the time. We probably have, hypothetically, an American tourist comes to Ireland, they probably go to 500 shops in their 2 week visit. How do we get them to remember us when they leave? And it's our staff. It's the way they treat them. It's the way they interact with them. It's how we ask them where they're from. And oh my God, I've lived in San Francisco for 3 months. That's incredible. Where in San Francisco do you? Irish and American, there's always a go between. Or even in Europe, in Germany, I found someone the other day that works in the same factory that we work in Belgium. And I got chatting to her. She works in a completely different industry. And like, it's just having that human connection with people and it's empowering our staff to make that human connection that then allows our customers to feel like they're humanly connected to us and remember us when they leave.
And I love that because it's old school retail. And again, I'm
Yeah.
talking to someone that wasn't a retailer, up until 2022, but
Yeah.
you have this essence and it comes back to, and I can't kind of skip over this.
Mm.
It's the brand thing. You sat down and you decided this is what you wanted for the brand. You sat down with Shane and you decided that this is how you wanted your people to be. Because in the wider retail right now, it isn't happening. There is a break in connection, and you have bigger brands trying to pull this back.
Yeah.
But actually, for you, it's been really simple that you've given ownership. It's working really well. You've obviously got an incredibly happy team, and a happy team means happy customers. And no doubt then they keep coming back because if they have that one-to-one pull with you because you've had a conversation, I've no doubt they must be going home to Germany or to the US and buying online from you as well.
There's nothing more exciting than seeing a name or an address that you kind of would might spring in your mind, like something like Kentucky, and you're like, oh, like 4 months later. And what we see is obviously we get a lot of our tourists in the summertime is the Christmas rush, the November. We make sure to put out like American customers, just make sure if you're ordering, you need to order by the end of November, and you see those orders come back through because sometimes it can track and you can see their first order was made online. We use Shopify And our second order then was their second order was online, in store versus online. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then also on that, when it comes to people, you obviously have a huge community pull because the
Yeah.
two of you are local yourselves. You're very much in the industry. Shane, of course, with this massive background in the
Mm.
wider industry. How important has that community aspect been to you?
Oh, it's hands down, other than our staff, which are part of the community, probably
Mm,
the second most important. Like I've with a tourist town, you can be very focused in on the summer. You can be very like, we've got to give it all. People barely take a moment to breathe in the summertime. But I think it's as important, Shane would always say it, that like if someone come, we always treat our community as our almost like never out of stock colors of stuff. They're constantly there
yeah.
and they're just maybe buying the one t-shirt for the friend and they'll come back. They're now sometimes they are dropping lots of money in the shop, but they're doing the consistent shopping with us. And it's maybe like literally yesterday, there's a restaurant down the road and the mum came up from the restaurant and said, we have a staff member whose birthday it is. I'm going to grab them a t-shirt. And she buys an Out West t-shirt every single time it's a staff birthday for someone in the restaurant. And it's those people you really have to value. It was a conversation we had at the very start because we get famous people or influencers in Dingle sometimes. And it was Shane made a point to all of our staff saying, no, they're not getting the 10%. The 10% off goes to that person who is our trusted customer who shops with us throughout the year. They, if they're famous, they have enough money to not have the 10% off. It should be rewarded for the people who are consistently shopping, not dropping the most amount of money once a year. They're just, I think community is so important in a place where you do get a lot of fluctuation. You need to support each other in the quieter times like in November. So we'll make a conscious effort to go out to eat in the quieter times because we know what it's like to also be quiet. And I think the Dingle community it's something I've never experienced. And one of my favorite things about Dingle is the community and the support everybody gives everybody. In the summertime, it can be hard. We're all just keep swimming, but it's in the winter time where you go and you really support each other and make plans as well to collaborate and how we can help each other and stuff like that as well.
And does that, do you think, part of that? Obviously, there's a real truth and essence there because you definitely feel it, I think, as a visitor, as I would be down to Dingle, you feel that warmth down there. It's very special. It's one of those gorgeous special places we have here in Ireland. But do you think your marketing background has helped you kind of foster this idea that actually, forget the 10% for people that don't need it. If we entice these customers, they will be loyal. As you said, they'll see us through the very quiet or the dark, literally dark times of
Dark
winter.
times.
Um, but do you think your whole background in marketing has really helped propel both the brand, but also your thinking behind what's happening with the brand?
Yeah, I think, as I said, the really part of marketing I love was storytelling. And
Mm,
I think we've taken that to the brand, and it was something that I kind of took on from the very start. Like like with Shane and I was like, you're good at this, I'm good at that. And it was just telling the brand story to everybody who would listen. And just being able, there's one thing I learned in all the kind of marketing backgrounds I learned is people buy from people. And to Shane, I was like, right, let's get in front of the camera. Like people often say to me, oh, you're so good on Instagram. Like you talk on stories all the time. Dada. Like that has taken about 10 takes to get there. But I know how important it is to see people behind the brand. And that's the part of marketing I love is like taking us and taking our story and taking the cool things that we've done and being creative in the way we storytell that. Be it into our customers, be it into our suppliers, be it into a pitch for a wholesale or something like that. So yeah, I do think it's been really good. And it's also brought a kind of marketing front to the retail, if that makes sense, as in not only just sitting in a box of retail,
mm.
like being, and I think the online part of the business helps as well because we do have to focus on that. But the marketing aspect of that, we also try and bring into the retail and almost like marketing our retail store and asking people to come and visit and saying, if you're in Dingle, drop by, say hi, da da da, and don't just expect people to walk through the door.
And I definitely think the last few years, I think there's traditional retail would have just expected you to drop in, but I love the fact that you've used your marketing background
Mm.
to entice people. You've built this experience, whether that's chatting to you, whether that's you educating people coming in. Because if I rocked up tomorrow, probably wouldn't have a clue what I needed, but I'd know I wanted something. So I love the fact that you're bringing this quite holistically. It feels organic. It's not pushed, it's not rushed, it's not fake. It's who you are encompassed in this incredible brand.
Yeah, I think people want to follow the journey. People like, and it was like social media is a part of it. Like on our Instagram, like sometimes we'll be like, sorry, we haven't been around for a week because we've been doing X, Y, and Z. And it was something I said in my stories a while ago, and it really resonated with people. When you're in a small business or when you're in a business or in a retail store, the last thing you want to do in a crisis is pick up your phone and tell people you're in a crisis. Like something goes wrong, stock management, stock doesn't get delivered, something goes wrong. But I think it's really important to share the afterthought and the learning, because we have a load of people on our Instagram that might think, oh God, I really want to start a business, or are in the marketing space or in the outdoor space. And I love hearing from other founders their problems, because I go, oh my God, it's not just me. All the bad things don't just happen to us. And I think it's as important to be really, really humble and to share the bad as well as the good, because people can see the good. People can see the bags walking around town, or people in Dublin wearing out west, which blows my mind. People can see it, but they don't see the bad things that happen. And I think it's really, really important to share that, because it makes other business owners and other retail owners like not feel like, oh, poor me. Like,
No, and again, it comes down to this authenticity thing, but also you're driving this emotional connection, which again, I love because it just grounds everyone to know that actually what you're doing comes from the heart. It's not just big business. But you touched on something there, and look, it would be remiss of me because as you said, it's not all rosy running a retail business. The challenges, because you are growing at a phenomenal rate. Let's be really clear about that. It's only 2024. Like you've just celebrated your second birthday, technically. The challenges, what's that been like over the last few years? Because I'd say it's been a crazy ride.
it's been a crazy ride. And I think people within the retail space will absolutely, I know, sweat on the back of their neck when in 2022, yeah, because we opened the shop, our Christmas stock arrived on the 23rd of December. Yeah. So that was interesting. So I think there's been so many challenges. I think one of the ones growing at such a rate and having a store where year to year it's growing and not consistency is stock management.
Yeah.
It's having, really wish there was a formula you could put in and it would tell you exactly how many units you need plus the amount of sizes that people will. Now, you can use all the data, and we are growing that data from the years and years that, like from year 1 to year 2, and we'll grow the data. But I really wish from day dot there was some formula you could put in, because we run out of like extra small and small women's stuff and maybe XL and L men's stuff really quickly, and then we're left with these sizes that don't have full size ranges in them, or you're taking a risk on a huge amount of units. We do a lot of customer surveys and customer feedback on what people would like, but at the same time, you're taking a massive risk on colors, on fits, on everything. There's a lot of money sitting in stock in a stock business. Managing that stock management and cash flow really goes hand in hand, and it has been something we are constantly learning. I don't think we'll crack it in the next 6 months, but I think within the next 3 to 5 years, it's something that hopefully we'll build enough data on to make the right decisions. But I think the growth of the company, which is great, does hinder what we order, units we order, and the cash flow that needs to go into that as well. From a kind of similar but opposite point of view is growing at a rapid rate sometimes, and we have been kind of done it once and we'll never do it again, is quality over quantity. Sometimes you just have to push through stuff and say, we need this for Christmas. We're going to miss the launch. Let's just order it. And it comes and it's not the quality. We've set a really, really high standard for our quality in Out West, but the growth of the business cannot hinder that quality. So it's actually something we've pulled back on in 2024. We're stepping away from the seasonal launches, because trying to launch 6 things at one time, something's got to give. And one of those can't be perfect. So we're going into more of like small launches throughout the year, which there's no time frame then on it. Because when you put a time frame on something, you're compromising on quality. And it's just something that we don't want to do. So in kind of 2024 and for 2025 and further on, we think. It's, yes, we might not have a restock of our pink long sleeves that I'm wearing at the moment for anyone who's watching. It will be in October because we didn't realize how fast it would sell out, but they'll come in October and they will be just as good. We're not willing to compromise and bring them in for the busy season in August and try and sell through them and us not know they're as good as they should be.
But I think that's incredible that you've already only 2 years in got this foresight because, and again, there'll be people listening. There are mega businesses out there that still 30 years on can't get the sizing right, or you'll have horrific weather or amazing weather in Dingle, or all the tourists under the planet will come in 1 week or 1 day and you'll have an absolute rush and you can't always plan for that. So I think for the very fact you have the foresight and you're already looking at the data, but also that again, you've been really true to the brand there and said, do you know what? We're not launching twice a year. It's too much if it's your quality and your brand that you're compromising. I love the idea though of just popping down in October when it's quite quiet and miserable and just finding newness as well. So I think it's a gorgeous idea.
Yeah, and I think it's also important for the community, going back to the local community piece. If we drop twice a year, they only see new stuff twice a year. They want kind of, not that they want a constant rollover of stuff, but it's really nice to, as you say, launch something in, because we do have the online. So if people have been there in the summertime and love a long sleeve and they have the color and they have the size that they love, they can shop it online when they go home. But our locals get a chance to come in and shop something new and shop something first, which is also really cool. And I think with our suppliers as well, we work with amazing factories in Portugal. And sometimes working in Portugal, they are on holidays for a month at the moment, is tough. But it's where we wanted to work and it's where we knew the best jersey and cotton came from there. And yes, it is slower. And yes, in September, we have to work on spring or like stuff we want to launch within the summer season, but that's okay. We're not a fashion-led brand. And I think that's so important, especially in the kind of sustainability aspect. We're not taking things off runways, throwing new colors and a slightly new design and getting it out within 6 weeks. That's not what our brand is about. So working in Portugal is great because we can go at a slow pace and we make the right decisions and we make them correctly. Then I think in terms of asking our community what they want, looking at the data, and then making a product that we know won't end up in a landfill in 6 months' time.
100%. And I think that's becoming more and more important to everyone. It's obviously really important to your brand for the very fact that you're based in Dingle. The two of you love being outdoors. So obviously nature's so important to you and keeping nature as it is.
Yeah.
And then for me to read, and I love this because it just, again, it really suits your brand. You're now B Corp certified, which just must have been so brilliant for you to have gone out so early and done that.
Yeah. It was something that we took on. It was actually Shane that took it on. If he was like, can I help with anything? I was like, can I just task you with B Corp and what it is? Because for anyone who's starting in the journey or anyone who's thinking about it, not to scare you, but it is a lot.
But like, it's massive. Let's just pause there.
Yeah.
To task him with this is massive. Again, for people listening that don't understand this, this is a huge undertaking. So for a brand 2 years old, only really starting out, to have gone on this journey already and to be certified is phenomenal, Rebecca. It really is.
Thank you. So for anyone who kind of the summary of B Corp is it's the highest standard of social environmental impact that you can have. So people think like maybe like sustainability is all just about your factories and your suppliers or your fabrics. That's it. Like if you're sustainable, you're using organic cotton or recycled polyester. It completely deep dives into everything. It deep dives into how much your factories pay their workers, what their worker rights are. It dives into your community, how much you help your community, what you give back to your staff as well. Like we had to upload a load of staff payroll, show that we give, like one of the B Corp things that I absolutely love is like give your staff their birthday off if possible. And I was just like, oh my God. So now we do where it is possible. Sometimes it lands on the busiest day of the year and they get the day after off. But like it deep dives into everything. It's not just, look at me, we're producing in Portugal with organic cotton. That's not what it is. It's such a multi-layered, hence why it takes so long. So we took it on in, I think Shane started the process in February 2023. and we got it in January 2024. And it's been amazing for us. I have to say, it's really interesting. People come into the retail space and they say, oh my God, you're B Corp certified. A lot of Americans, a lot of people from the UK understanding what it is and what it takes to achieve it, because they come in and they're like, oh my God, well done. I know how hard this is. We had a lady come in who was one of the sustainability officers in the White Company, and they had just got theirs. And she was saying of how hard and how long it took them. And it kind of reminded me of why Shane and I did it now. So we basically wanted to do it now is because it underpins the foundation for where we build going forward. They give you, not give you, but they help you build a load of policies to kind of keep within the kind of sustainability. So let's say stuff that you would give to your factories, like what certs you're looking for, what employee information you're looking for. So like when we work with 3 factories now. So when we move to different factories, we take those policies with us, and we won't work with factories if they don't give us those, rather than backtracking. The last thing we wanted to do, I thought, and Shane agreed, that it would be more work. And also it's such an important and integral part of the brand. We were like, well, let's do it now while we have 6 staff, 3 factories, and underpin the really good pillars of sustainability that we want and social impact, and build from there. And so it was really, really important for us to get in. And it was really, really cool. I have to give all the credit to Shane. He did all the donkey work. I just took the praise for it afterwards and on this. But it was definitely something that we wanted to be integral to the brand.
Oh, it's incredible and massive well done, because it is a huge, huge undertaking. But as you say, you've done it for the right reasons. So congratulations on that. Well, look, final question, and it's a biggie because I know just how busy the brand and you and Shane are right now. And obviously this is going out in October, so you've just dropped this incredible new range as well. But in the meantime, I suppose final question, what on earth is coming up for you both over the next few months?
So there's been a couple of things that will have dropped beforehand. So we, as I said, we're trying to reach more into our technical wear. So we will have launched our very first fully waterproof jacket that I can say has been tested far too much this Irish summer. I was out running in it yesterday and I got absolutely soaked, but I stayed dried. It got soaked, I stayed dry. So we'll have launched that. We're also doing a pop-up in Dublin sometime in November. So that'll all be on our Instagram stories, probably kind of November time. So you can stay tuned to that. And yeah, we're just building out our technical wear. That's what we want to do. That's where we want to be. We want to be standing alongside the kind of Columbia, Patagonias. We want to show that we can create Irish clothing built for the Irish outdoors, zips, layering, on, off, all of our stuff is functional. And I think 2025 and kind of the next season will bring a lot more adventure gear, I think.
Oh, phenomenal. Such an exciting 2 years that you and Shane have already had with the company, Rebecca. I have absolutely no doubt that you'll be back on here in a bit with such exciting news to come, because you really are growing at an incredible rate. And it's so exciting. You're doing it the right way for the right reason. It's a gorgeous brand. Massive well done to the two of you. It's incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It feels like we started 5 minutes ago, and it also feels like it's been going on for 50 years. So the joys of retail.
Welcome to retail. Well, look, if you've enjoyed today's podcast episode, please do like and share it. Remember, you can listen back to previous Retail Tea Break podcast episodes on your favorite podcast platform, or of course on YouTube. Connect with myself and Rebecca on LinkedIn, and Shane, of course, and check out Outwest's website, their social media, as she mentioned. And of course, if you find yourself down in Dingle, do pop into the store. I'm obviously going to put all the different details in the show notes. And of course, the show notes and the transcript from today's episode can be seen on theretailadvisor.ie. Rebecca, it's been an absolute joy. I've learned so much, and I'm so excited for what Outwest is bringing to us next. But thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it.